Hey guys, welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit, Am I the A-hole? This one's from user Bow Down Please. Am I the a-hole for being upset with my $150 engagement ring? My fiance is quite well off, and while I don't make as much as him, I certainly would not be struggling on my own. He rotates between a few very expensive watches that he wears to work, and while we have a good grasp on financial literacy, we aren't shy about spending for the important parts of life. We openly share finances, so I know he isn't secretly in debt or any such nonsense. The ring is nice and understated, but more of a nice stacker than an engagement ring to show off. The stone, which I'm doubtful of being a diamond, is quite small. It is not heirloom. When friends or family get engaged, there is always the excitement in sharing the news, and inevitably someone will ask to see the ring. And then everyone coos over it and it's a good time. When I showed mine, the mood got awkward and they feigned excitement just long enough until it was okay to change the topic. This is not a knock on them, they are just terrible liars. I would like to make clear that I am not expecting a 3-month salary ring or an over-the-top wedding. However, this is a piece I will be wearing daily for decades and is largely considered a symbol of his love. I know not all feel this way, but we do, or at least I thought we did. But I really don't think I'm out of line for thinking it's a long-term investment piece given the amount of wear it will see and the sentimentality behind it. Surely it is worth more than a gaming console. Am I the a-hole here? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Jeepers Creepers 74 says, "Some are calling you shallow, but you've made it clear that you're not asking for anything super expensive, just something a step above costume jewelry, especially given your comments that he also has a few nice watches he wears, etc. I don't think you're shallow or an a-hole for wanting something nicer. At the same time, I don't think he's the a-hole for getting you what he got. What is clear is that you guys had zero communication about the cost or style of the ring before it was bought, even though you are open enough about your finances to share them. This speaks more to problems inherent in your relationship than the ring itself. You need to talk to him about your concerns and, if it's that important to you, contribute to the cost of a nicer ring." Purple Dot Zero says, "I'm so effing sick of Reddit acting like someone's shallow because they expect a certain amount of style and quality for something they expect to wear all the time every day of their life." OP responds, "I realized after posting that Reddit does have that bias, but I'm still getting some helpful responses. Clearly I know where I stand on the issue, but it is good to hear where others are coming from." OP's edit, "I'm getting a lot of the same questions, so I thought I would put the answers here. We had briefly talked about overall style and he has access to my jewelry box to know the stuff I typically wear. As the price of the ring wasn't very important to me, the budget for it was never really discussed, which I see as a mistake now, but I didn't realize that this could be a problem. Price is not important so much, as I don't care if he spent $1,000 or $100,000 on it. But this ring looks cheap. It is not quality craftsmanship. The dampened excitement of showing off my ring was only a part of my post. The rest being that his drastic lowball on a piece I will be wearing every day for the rest of my life doesn't seem like the symbol of love one traditionally associates with engagement and wedding pieces. It's about having a very wealthy fiancé that invests more into the latest gaming console than he does a lifelong symbol of our love. To you, a ring might just be a ring, but unless otherwise discussed, it would be silly to assume it to be a throwaway item. In my culture as well, the engagement ring is paired with the wedding band, not replaced. We share our finances, and I saw the charge on the bank statement. If he paid in cash as well, then he overpaid. Given that he has bought me more expensive jewelry in the past and sees what I wear on a regular basis, for him to lowball an important item this much seems pretty far out of left field and not something I would thought I would have needed to clarify with him, even if we had a longer conversation about it. Obviously, in hindsight, I should have. I think I am more hurt with what it says to give your fiancé such a low-priced ring when money clearly isn't the issue than the fact that the ring itself was low budget. If we were worse off and $150 took effort to save for, I would be over the moon at what he got me and shoving it in everyone's face. However, this is not remotely the case. He has gifted diamond studs and other fine jewelry before and will splurge a bit more if it's something for the both of us. For example, a surprise getaway weekend for a holiday. He doesn't throw his money around needlessly, but he isn't stingy. To be blunt, it's a cheap ring, in look and cost. Yes, he could have spent hours picking out the indie jeweler to get the ring that is nothing like what I have or have ever mentioned liking in a much lower price bracket than we would ordinarily spend on just regular accessories. However, I don't feel like I'm making a large leap in assuming he didn't. To me, this is about more than just the fact that he didn't get the exact style I had in mind. I also take exception to the people here acting like being unhappy with the ring means I'm unhappy with the engagement. Nowhere have I ever said this to be the case. Life isn't an all or nothing game. I can be unhappy with the ring while still being madly in love with my fiancé and thrilled to spend our lives together. We will be talking about this for sure, but I know this can be a touchy subject and wanted an objective eye on it first. I will update this post after that conversation. Okay, OP, you're definitely not the a-hole. You have a valid question. I do find it strange that considering you guys aren't stingy with each other and, you're open with your finances and all of that, the fact that he would just spend $150 on the engagement ring itself is a little bit weird. However, I'm not gonna say anything else because we are moving on with the update to see what actually happened. He came home and we were settling down, and around dinner I started the conversation with, "Honey, I'd like to talk about the ring." And before I could finish, he just blew up and started yelling, "Effing finally!" and how I'd ruin everything by waiting so long. To be brief, he bought a crappy ring from a jeweler who got bad reviews so that when I got upset over it, he could dump me under the guise that I was a gold digger. He has apparently been having an affair, turns out the bug had shortened his work hours, not extended, with a younger model that he's earned but knew that breaking things off when everyone loved me so much would hurt his optics, so he had to make it my fault. He knew that leaving this pariahship would gain him sympathy, and there was a lot of rhetoric that clearly wasn't his own words, but something he was parroting from what I highly suspect is from a much influential work friend that I've had disagreements with in the past. Changes I had attributed to work stress are glaringly obvious to me now as symptoms of something more malicious under the surface, and I feel really ashamed I didn't see things more clearly earlier or wasn't somehow able to head things off before they got this far. I won't be sticking around to dig any deeper, but I know my now ex-fiancé would not have done and said the things he did without being pushed from bad influences behind the scenes. This doesn't mean I forgive him. I think he is incredibly weak and feeble-minded for letting this happen to us, but I also doubt I will be contacting many of our mutual friends as the dust settles. I left in the middle of his tirade around the 15-minute mark, and I'm staying at my mother's. I haven't cried yet, and I think I'm still waiting for it all to suddenly make sense, but I know logically it might not ever. Thank you to everyone who responded to my post and offered your thoughts. I don't think anyone could have predicted what was going to happen from the information I gave. And now I'm off to r/LikeUs and r/IBleach until the waterworks decide to flow and I can have a good cry over it all. On the plus side, if there is one, is that I don't have to wear the effing hideous ring anymore. Please stop hitting on me in DMs. I am clearly not interested in seeing anyone at the moment, and I will not send you nudes to get back at my ex. Stay classy, Reddit. Well, I definitely was not expecting that twist. What about you guys? Is that something you saw coming? OP, your ex-fiancé is clearly an idiot if he followed anybody's instructions to do that to you just to kind of save face. The fact that he did that so he could pin you as a gold digger to everyone else, that guy is scum. It's a good thing you're no longer with him. Anyways, let's read a couple of post-update comments. Jeepers Creepers 74 updated. Okay, per the update, definitely not the a-hole, and he is a supreme a-hole. Kudos to OP and her spidey sense regarding the inappropriateness of the ring she was given. If she had followed the advice of those who told her she was shallow and should live with a cheap ring, she would have made the worst mistake of her life. Take care, OP. Longle Legs says, "Man, I don't think I've ever experienced whiplash from an update. Definitely not the a-hole." Don't You Hate Pants replies, "Seriously, I was ready to jump on the no a-holes here train with everyone else until I read that edit. I really can't fathom doing something that terrible to another person, especially someone I've had a loving relationship with, at least at one point. Poor OP." This one's from user AMA Service Dog. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend to stop teasing our dog? Last night, my boyfriend and I were lying down in bed. Every night, he gives our dog a treat. For whatever reason, he felt the need to tease her about it. He set the treat on his chest. She's my service dog, so she knows she's not allowed to just snatch the treat and run. She sniffed at it a few times and then lied down, watching him attentively. He then moved it to the side of the bed, waited for her to jump off to try and get it before putting it back on his chest. She came back into the bed and lied down, watching him closely. He did this another time before I told him he was being mean and to just give her the treat. He said she was fine and they were playing. I told him I was worried he was going to teach her bad habits, snatching the treat, etc., and to just give it to her. He was annoyed but gave it to her. Today, he is still annoyed, saying he felt like it was my way or the highway, and that he feels like he can't play with her anymore, that he can't disagree with me about her because she is my service dog. I still don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't yell or snap at him. No, she wasn't frustrated when I told him to give her that treat, but I would prefer that she isn't pushed to that level of frustration. He kept saying he wouldn't have. It wasn't even as long as I made it sound to be. He really likes to tease and push at boundaries. I can be controlling, especially when it comes to her well-being and training because she is my literal lifeline. He is super annoyed, I'm super annoyed, and I'd appreciate outside perspective. Am I the a-hole? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Coffee Hobgoblin says, "Not the a-hole. Service dogs are crazy expensive to train, and I would be upset if my boyfriend wasn't respecting that the relationship as service dog protectee needs to be the top priority. That relationship needs to be maintained above his as a regular dog-human relationship with the dog. This is one boundary that I think you are well within your rights to hold firm on." OP responds, "I've definitely played games with her where she's not allowed to take a treat. This helps prevent her from picking up food when she's working. Unsanitary and potentially dangerous if she were to eat something toxic. But I always reward her once she shows restraint, and this encourages the restraint. He didn't offer her a reward, just was amused by her eager attention." Gunny Hunty says, 100% not the a-hole. He can't disagree with you. She's not his pet. She is a medical necessity for you. What you say goes. Bottom line, you need to set a firm boundary, and if he can't respect it, he can get the F out. Hot Dogs Always says, "Not the a-hole. She is your service dog. This absolutely is a my way highway situation. Boyfriend needs to grow up. Does he regard the dog as a shared pet? If so, he very much needs to be disabused of that nonsense. This is one of those hill to die on situations. His mean-spirited teasing and how he reacts to criticism are, because his actions could actually lead you to harm." OP responds, "He knows that ultimately she is my service dog. If we were to split up, she would come with me. He knows this. All of her medical records are in my name first as a just in case. I didn't have a service dog when we first got together. It was a decision we made as my health worsened. It's definitely been an adjustment for both of us as I am the first significantly disabled person he's been with, and I've only become this disabled during my time with him. He usually comes back after he's been a butthead and sincerely apologizes, but he hasn't yet. I'm going to wait until we've both had a chance to discuss it with our respective therapists before I talk about it with him again." Okay, well, the community has deemed OP to not be the a-hole. I would have to agree, even though I do not have all the knowledge needed to make a judgment here, because I've never had a service animal or service dog. However, I do understand that they are completely different than a proper pet. I also understand that a service dog's training is incredibly important to not mess with at all, because it could be a life or death situation to the owner. Now, I don't think that the boyfriend's actions in this case have threatened that training, but if he were to keep doing it and keep teasing her until she just snaps and snatches the treat, then the training has been tampered with, and that's not a good thing. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. So now, let's move on to the update to see what happened after this. I spoke with my therapist about it, and she reinforced the not the a-hole judgment I was given. I tried to talk to my boyfriend about it, and he got very defensive about how he didn't do anything wrong. A week later, he was playing video games. He turned around, took the toy she was playing with, and turned back to his game. I knew he would hold it until he died in his game again, so I asked him to give it back. He wasn't even watching her body language to see if she was upset by it. Are we really doing this again? I told him no, but was seething. A few days later, I asked him to discuss it with his therapist. His therapist gave him some tools on how to discuss it with me. His therapist also suggested that he no longer should be involved with our dog in any capacity. Our conversation last night basically devolved into me yelling at him about how he effed with my service dog's training and how scary that is for me. I can't function without her. He kept insisting he didn't mess her training. I was able to calm down enough to explain how what he did could mess with her training. He pretty much said he didn't want to be involved with her training, to which I explained every time a person interacts with a dog, trains them. He shot back with, "Fine, if she wants a treat, I'll just give it to her. I'll just throw the ball and not play games with her." This created a new argument where I told him we weren't resolving the issue and he was just deflecting so he didn't have to deal with it. I also began to shut down at the idea that he didn't want to be involved with my dog anymore. She adores him. He realized I was shutting down and began to ask why. I explained how upsetting it was to hear he didn't want to be involved with the other most important part of my life. He explained he would still love her and be affectionate, but he didn't feel comfortable with things that might. He continued to pull me out of my shutdown with jokes and reassurances. This is an established request from me. This morning, he called me from work, apologizing profusely. He told me I was right. I had criticized him and it caused him to lash out because he didn't want to be vulnerable. He said he was sorry. Once he got home, he apologized again. We discussed healthier ways for us to communicate in the future to avoid us triggering each other. He was surprised I was willing to forgive him and grateful that I pushed him to face his issues. Everyone has issues, but he's willing to work on his. It's not my job to fix them, but to call him out when he starts BS. He has to do the work, and he does the same for me. Thank you for the reassurances, everyone. Heart. Well, OP, it's good to know that even after all the conflict and the back and forth and all the talking and the therapists and all that you guys came to a solid conclusion where you help each other out and you find proper ways to communicate. That is the best outcome. Proper ways to communicate. Always very important in relationships. But of course, that's just my opinion. In the meantime, all the best to you, OP, your boyfriend, and your dog. As for the rest of us, there is still a little bit of time left in the video, so I'm going to try to squeeze in another short post. This one's from user AngryMouse567. Am I the a-hole for showering when my cat is in the bathroom as well? I, 18 female, live in an apartment with my boyfriend, 19 male, 3 other roommates, and my cat. We all have our own room, but we share 2 bathrooms, a living room and a kitchen. When I moved in, we made very clear rules surrounding my cat, and I follow those strictly. My cat is allowed in the common rooms, including the bathroom, as long as he doesn't go in the closets, something he never does. He loves to lie on the heated floor in the bathroom, and he doesn't care if people shower. I did, however, say to my roommates that if they are uncomfortable with him being there when they are in the bathroom, they can just push him out. 2 of my roommates, including my boyfriend, do this. I don't. A few days ago, my boyfriend told me it is weird that I shower with the cat in the room, and he told me not to do it anymore. I got quite angry and asked him why. He told me he was angry because I do want to shower with the cat, but not with him. He tries to get in the shower with me when I just want a relaxing shower after a long day. Now, I worry that it is weird the cat is there. Am I the a-hole for showering with the cat in the room? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Virgil II says, not the a-hole, and your boyfriend needs to chill out. Is he really getting jealous of a cat? Cat is fine to hang out while you're showering. He's an animal who doesn't know being in the bathroom while someone is showering has any different connotation than, yay, warm floor. It's not like he has the ability to be an, peeping Tom or anything weird. Star Wars Girl says, it's a cat. Cats invade bathrooms. Your boyfriend is the one who's being weird, not the a-hole. A Grey Wood says, not the a-hole. Tell him he's welcome to nap silently on the floor just like the cat does. Yeah, this one's short and easy. OP, you are not the a-hole and your boyfriend is weird if he's getting jealous of a cat. It's not like you're showering with the cat. The cat is in the bathroom while you're there. It's totally different. Honestly, I'd be inclined to do what the last commenter said, to just tell him to nap silently on the floor like the cat does while you shower. But of course, that's just my opinion and that last commenter that I quoted. So now let's move on to the update to see what happened next. Hi everyone! Thanks for all the comments, messages, stories and jokes. You really helped me. I thought for a while and realized that this was not the only controlling behavior he has. So I told him we had to talk. I said that I was uncomfortable with some aspects of our relationship and I wanted him to go to therapy too. I even offered to go with him so we can work on us. He got very angry and told me to choose between him and the cat. When I chose the cat, he got angry at first and then started apologizing. We are done. I am not going to be manipulated again. We let our roommates decide who got to stay in the apartment. Turns out, he wasn't too nice to them, so me and the cat get to stay. He will be out in 2 weeks. Until then, I and the cat are staying at my parents' house. I am a bit heartbroken now, but I know I did the right thing. Thanks everyone, and have a nice day. OP, I hope your ex-boyfriend matures and realizes that being jealous of a cat is just stupid. Plain and simply stupid. But of course, that's just my opinion because obviously your ex-boyfriend doesn't think so. I love how he gave you an ultimatum. OP, it's either me or the cat. It's like, what the hell, man? Honestly, you doing this? Reading that part did make me laugh. It was funny. Anyways, OP, all the best to you and your cat. Take care. This one's from user Artorian Scribe. Am I the a-hole for leaving 2 days early because Santa didn't bring me or my future son anything like he did for everyone else in my family? Okay, I'm 90% sure that I am, but I've let it sit for a day and I'm still hurt, so I need some outside perspective. Before we get into this, I'm very aware that many people in the world get nothing at all for Christmas. I actually spent weeks leading up to Christmas volunteering, virtually this year, for the Battered Women's Shelter and a foster care organization. Prior to this Christmas, we stayed at home for weeks and we all got tested. We are one of those families that doesn't go into stores. Hooray, curbside, or eat out, and we are all fortunate enough to work from home or be retired. Now, my mom does all the shopping for Christmas, full stop. She asked what I wanted, and because I'm pregnant, I just asked for stuff for the baby, especially since I won't have a baby shower. She said fine, I'll get that stuff. But what about you and your husband? Well, we really didn't want for much, so I threw together 3 ideas for each of us but told her to please shop for baby. I also gave them a link to a registry with over 40 small items selected so they weren't on their own. Meanwhile, I got them what they asked for. My dad a Fire Stick TV and contributed to his Oculus. My mom some jewelry from Pandora and hand-blown glass cups she wanted. My brother, 24 male, who still lives with them, a case for the iPad they got him and $100. My parents still do Santa, the whole bit. The cookies, the milk, the presents that magically show up. It's their choice. We don't ask for it, but we play along because it makes them happy. We come downstairs Christmas morning and everyone else has gifts from Santa. We do not. My dad just slips us a note saying Santa is done for us, so we sit there awkwardly while my mom, dad, and brother open all their gifts from Santa. They struggled to find gifts for me at all. They found plenty for my husband, gardening stuff he wanted, but the only real gift they gave me were a pair of Adidas shoes I didn't ask for, a perfume I don't wear, and a ramen I like. That's fine. All I wanted all along were things for the baby, who they've known for weeks will be a boy. They gave us 3 onesies and an ugly nursing pillow. Icing on the cake was my older brother, 40 male, and his family have a whole sack of presents to be sent to them. Just for him, we're talking power tools, drill sets, brand name clothes, and shoes, just for him, not to mention wife and kids. Here's what might make me an a-hole. Not wanting to spoil everyone's fun by sulking, I choose to return 2 days earlier than planned. My husband is trying to be understanding, but said I may be the a-hole for expecting anything at all, and for leaving so unexpectedly. In fact, the entire family made passive-aggressive comments the entire day, but I ignored them all. The only person I felt bad for was my dad, because he seemed truly hurt. It feels as if it was just me and my future son who was neglected. So I left. Am I the a-hole? The judgment is not the a-hole. Now let's take a look at the top comments. Me45653 says, "Look, I'm not going to pretend this life you lead is not foreign to me. All of that? All those presents? Holy Jesus. Having said that, not the a-hole if you didn't make a scene. If you didn't throw a tantrum and all that. Hey, you weren't happy and you deserve to separate yourself from a situation that makes you feel less than, unseen, and forgotten. 100%. I'm sure you'll get comments about entitlement and having to be grateful and all that, but there's an obvious discrepancy in the way you were treated and the way everyone else around was treated. That's not cool. That, I feel, anyone should understand. You made an effort for your family. You participated. You showed up and pitched in and did the thing that everyone expected you to do. The effort towards you was not matched, and that's just not fair. But in your feels, heck, even be angry, and sure, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't even matter, but don't let them make you believe that you shouldn't be disappointed and hurt. PD What says, not the a-hole. Instead of throwing a temper tantrum, you went back home where you would be free to explore your feelings. I wonder if the shoes, perfume, were re-gifts if they fall so far out of your personality. I would collect your thoughts and call your dad to ask why Santa was done for you and their future grandson. Ask if you offended them in some way, and next year, perhaps all the years after that, spend Christmas with the in-laws. Kitsume Cat says, not the a-hole. Let's be honest here. You were an afterthought. When you didn't jump for joy and left, they were mad. Now, next year, you can just skip the Christmas with them and go celebrate it with the in-laws. OP responds, honestly, my husband wants to skip all of it and just stay home next year. His parents did nothing wrong and are super lovely and fair people. I may need to push him, but I believe we'll be taking your advice. Now, before we continue with the update, I need to read some curated responses from OP's comments that will give insight to what happened on the update. Regarding the note my dad gave me, it's a note his mother wrote him that basically reads that now that you've graduated and are an adult, you are responsible for Santa. When my dad saw I looked taken aback when they said that I would have nothing from Santa on Christmas morning, he went to his memorabilia box and gave me that note. He didn't hand me that note until my mom said no more Santa on Christmas morning, and he saw I looked a bit disappointed. They love my husband, especially my mom. Prior to Christmas, there was no discussion or anything, so it was honestly a shock. I paid for the family dinner, I sent roses to my mother this year when she didn't feel well, and I talk with my parents quite a bit. I'm actually really confused. Now, to explain our gift-giving tradition. We have Santa gifts wrapped in specific wrapping paper, and we have family gifts. It's a weird distinction, but it's a tradition my parents wanted to carry on. The problem is the discrepancy. It was so bad that my younger brother laughed and said, "Wow, look at this huge stack of gifts for older brother," and none of them are for you. My mom and dad still get gifts from Santa and family gifts. I'm really not sure why the discrepancy. I don't have a clear answer for that. Also, this has happened before, on some really big occasions too. It is paying for college courses, they did for my brothers and not for me, getting them cars, not me, etc. It's just never happened at Christmas before. One final point to add. A while ago, I took a DNA test and I didn't like what I found out. It was completely by mistake that I found out. I didn't mean to. My dad isn't my real dad. I was an in vitro baby. I knew this all along. I found out by connecting with my half-siblings found on the site that our bio-dad was a donor. Most of them knew. I didn't. However, I don't think my dad knows. He always points to physical features we share and personality things we have in common. I don't have it in me to reveal this, so I hold it in. I honestly didn't even think about this until someone brought it up. My older brother is a half-brother. It hurts him for me to call him this, so I called him my older brother, 100% of the time. But he is from a previous marriage my mom had with another man. My dad's swimmers apparently don't like to swim, so they tried for 3 years and boom, had me after in vitro. My younger brother was such a shock that they had a paternity test done on him as soon as he was born. He looks like and genetically is 100% my dad's child. I totally agree, OP. If everything is the way you presented it, then there's no reason for you to feel like an a-hole for getting upset for the way they treated you. As that first commenter said, you did everything that was expected of you, the thing that you agreed upon, and then on Christmas morning they slip you a note and tell you that Santa is done for you? What does that mean? Also, I would have thought you would have gotten a lot more gifts for your future son, their future grandson, but just 3 onesies and a pillow? Come on. I mean, yeah, not all grandparents are the same about their grandkids or future grandkids, but usually, and please correct me if I'm wrong, they go nuts, right? They go crazy buying gifts and buying little toys and all they can find for the future baby. Anyways, bottom line, OP, you're not the a-hole for being upset for the way they treated you. So now, let's move on to the update to see what happened after this. First off, thank you all so much. Your responses were really overwhelming, as were the rewards. Really, truly, thank you. Having someone understand, let alone so many, really helped me take a massive step forward. One of the commenters suggested actually taking a 23andMe test and seeing if it matched my parents. I had done so 2 years ago and posted about it on this account, because I was struggling with the revelation that my dad is not my bio dad and how it may have impacted how I grew up. I forgot to consider this until I read this comment. My mom knows. My dad either doesn't or doesn't want me to know. Either way, I'm not going to give my mother the ammo to hurt me with by broaching this topic with them. I know that's what she'll do. I know my mother didn't love me as a child because she called me up a couple of years ago and let slip, "I wish I had loved you when you were a child." Not, "I wish I had loved you more" or anything like that. Just point blank, I didn't love you. It's just none of this made itself known during Christmas, ever. I was shocked. I've spoken with both parents and my dad was beyond apologetic. He said that the note was really something he treasured as a symbol of leading his own house. He said that it was very poorly timed and that he whipped it out to cover the awkwardness. He was blindsided. He works and she's retired. He trusts her with the shopping. He tried to broach the topic with my mom before I talked to her, and it did not go well. She became incredibly defensive to the point that he had to call me to tell me not to reach out to her until she called me herself. So I waited. She said she did get me another gift, some plates and bowls, and told me they were on the way. I thanked her. Other than that, she didn't acknowledge Christmas had happened or that there were any disparities. She knows that I know what she did was wrong and she doesn't want to talk about it. Yes, I spoke with my husband. I laid it all out for him, and when he understood that this was much more than about a woman not getting enough gifts, he backed off his a-hole judgment. He admitted that he doesn't know what any of this is like, but that he's proud of how I handled myself given the circumstances, and he will continue to support me. He said we also have a couple of options. We can cut off my entire side of the family altogether, but that it wouldn't be possible to just cut out my mom. I am not ready to cut ties with my dad, so we went with option 2. we set up ground rules. We will under no circumstances give them any unsupervised time with the baby. We will not go to visit them. We will not let them stay in our house. I will not call my mom. I will answer, but be short and sweet when I talk. Even if she decides to acknowledge the past and truly apologizes, I will forgive, but I won't forget. They will have a very insignificant role in my son's life. Well, OP, it seems to me that you're happy that your judgment is not an a-hole, that your husband, now that he understands everything, supports you, and that you've set ground rules for how you are going to interact with your family here on out. I do feel, however, that you have not gotten closure for a really big issue, and that is regarding your relationship with your mother. Now, this is just my opinion and advice, but I would think that it would be best for you to have an honest conversation with your mother, or at least try to have an honest conversation with her. Tell her everything you know, and tell her what you think, and ask her the proper questions. If she doesn't want to answer any of the questions, doesn't apologize, and simply tries to avoid the topic altogether, then you have your answer and you can totally cut ties with her. But like I said before, that's just my opinion. In any case, hopefully 2021 is a really good year for you, your family, and your future son, and you can keep those boundaries set up and enjoy this year's Christmas with your in-laws. Take care, OP. And that's it for this video. If you'd like, here are other videos from my channel that you would enjoy. Now, don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.